Thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. The New Albany Elementary School students participated lately in the Recycle in America Day. Now, the elementary school is committed to participating in recycling, and they also took the recycling pledge. The pledge reminds the students, parents, and teachers about participating in the school's recycling. Now, this will be on Wednesday, and pictured are the student volunteer workers. On December the 14th, at the New Albany Middle School, come and enjoy a free community dinner. Now, this is a time for the community to get together and to bond and to relate to each other, and you get a free meal out of it. Plus, they'll have crafts and pictures with Santa. Now, the doors will open at 11 o'clock, and they'll serve until 2. Takeout orders are available, but the in-house people is the way they want to go. There will also be coats given away. So we ask that if you have any coat donations, to please call the middle school and talk to them about it. Now, if you would like to volunteer to help serve that day or to help with crafts, please get in contact with the school. You can also email sgreg@NASD, and we'll have the email up on the screen for you to send to. But you can call the middle school too. Now, I've been telling y'all about ballroom dancing being in New Albany, and Chapter 6125 invites you to come to the community dance on November the 23rd, starting at 6:30. If you're a member, the cost is $8 for adults, and for kids, it's $3. If you're a non-member, cost is $10 for adults and $5 for kids. Now, they would love for you to become a member. Membership is that you can go to any USA Dance chapter across the United States and dance, get to pay the member's fee. Now, don't worry if you don't have a partner. They invite you to come on out and dance the night away. Now, all during the time of the dance, they will have mini lessons so that you can brush up on your steps, but there will be someone there that can dance with you and show you how to do the proper steps. They hope you'll come out. And also on Monday nights through December the 20th, which is the holiday dance at the community center, at 6:30 on Monday nights is the group dance. They practice and they're going to have a dance that they're going to do for the people that come. And then at 7:30 is the free mini lessons. Now, this is every Monday night that you can come and you'll have free mini lessons. Now, the Oxford Film Fest is coming up faster than we think. It'll be March the 18th through the 22nd of next year. But you can go ahead and get early bird prices now if you get your VIP tickets. Also, if you're a filmmaker and you have a short film out there or even a feature linked, please visit their website and find out how to submit your film to the Film Fest. Now, the early bird entries are fixing to end, and then we'll have until later on in December is the deadline that you can submit. So we hope you will do that. Also, if you've got one that's already been in the film festivals and you would like to share it with Hill Country Network for us to show others, we would love to talk with you about that. Please get in touch with us. And recently, Carly Spencer, who was a 2017 New Albany graduate, spoke with the New Albany High School journalism students on November the 7th. Carly is a junior at Mississippi University for Women and is majoring in communications and marketing. There might be someone's future here at Hill Country Network. Now, there is a book signing at the Pontotoc Library. Lori Caldwell Boyd, Carl Purdon, which you've seen here on Meet My Mississippi Authors and Artists, also Miss Jessica Starks, who was a guest on that show, and Brent Teague will be at the library with their books doing a book signing. You know, books are a wonderful Christmas gift, and they hope that you'll come out and be with them and let them talk to you about their books. And recently, students in grades 3 through 5 at the New Albany Elementary School System completed an employment application for volunteer jobs around the school. Now, the student volunteer jobs range from classroom helper, scuff marks remover, office vacuumer, recycling helper, and more. These students were volunteers, or they're going to be volunteers, Good job. Now, there were several students who were recognized at the November 4th school board meeting for their perfect scores on the 2018 MAAP state assessments. Congratulations. Cooler weather has finally come to North Mississippi. We hope all your pipes are wrapped up and your animals are warm and bringing your plants inside. It's time to weatherize our vehicles, weatherize our homes. Now, thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. Now, be sure to go to all of our social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter. Like us on our Facebook page, and that way you'll see all the different things that we'll post about what's coming up on schedule and different areas like that. Also, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, and that way you'll get an alert if you hit the little bell, and you will know when we put new programs up on YouTube. Now, we are hoping to get 500 subscribers by the end of the year. We can do it. Please invite your friends, share the videos, and let people know that we're out there. We're growing by leaps and bounds, and we want to invite you also to go to our news page. It's called hcntoday.news. We post different press releases from all around the state, locally, federally, all over. And it's all about North Mississippi and what affects us. Now, we hope that you will stay tuned for the rest of the show, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
Good afternoon, veterans. I'd like to welcome you to our 2019 Veterans Day program. Today there is, and perhaps there will always be, conflict in the world. But the United States fortunately enjoys peace and freedom. Like other things of great value, this security did not come cheaply. Americans who answered the call to military duty when their country needed them have already paid part of the cost. They served in 11 wars, from the Revolution to the Persian Gulf, earning the Special Distinction Veteran. But another part of freedom's cost must continue to be paid long after the guns have been silenced. This debt is owed America's veterans. Some need our country's help, even as their country once needed theirs, to readjust, to recover from wounds, or to overcome hardships of age and infirmity. Most ask nothing in repayment of their sacrifices. Let us continue to help those veterans in need with the greatest possible compassion and efficiency. To the rest, since they ask no special help, we can best pay tribute this day by recognizing what they have achieved and joining them in their resolve to keep America strong and free. Now we're going to have the presentation of the American flag by the American Legion. Please stand for the pledge and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you
write an essay, a couple of paragraphs about what they felt like freedom meant to them and why it's important for us to always honor our veterans on Veterans Day. Myself and a few others read through these and picked a few to be read to you today. So I want to call all these students up here. I am going to read a couple of them. They might have a little stage fright, but some of them are going to read their own. So first of all, Jake Moody, Jordan Martin, Shelby Thompson, Lily Merritt, Alyssa Dunn, and Allie Murphy. If y'all all come up here, we've got some seats right over here. And this first one is by Jake Moody. It says, "Dear veterans, thank you for all of your service. We all have gathered here today to tell you thank you. You are the reason we have this beautiful land. Thank you for fighting for our freedom. We honor you for your sacrifice to make America what it is today. And we thank you for helping give us our rights to freedom. We just want to say thank you."
Freedom is so important to me because I get to know I'm safe where I am. I would never take my freedom for granted because I know how hard you all work for it. I can be me because of you. Freedom means I wake up and not have to be afraid. This Veterans Day program is for you from us. You risk your lives day by day just for us. I can never thank you enough. It takes a lot of courage to do your job and we appreciate it. This is a day for all Americans to respect your veterans. Thank you so much, and I wish one day I could be as brave as you.
That was Jordan Martin. Now we have Shelby Thompson.
Freedom is an amazing thing. Freedom to me is having the right to do what we want. For example, America is a free country. Some countries today are ruled by a king or queen, and some people keep slaves to do tasks. There is no other place in the world that I'd like to live in except for America. We treat people the way we want to be treated. It is a very important thing to honor our veterans. This is because these men and women serve our country, and some have even died. We would not have this freedom if all of these brave people were not here. Overall, America is amazing because of the brave veterans in it, so we should honor them.
Next we have Lily Merritt.
Freedom is to have the right to do something. It is important to honor our veterans because they have to leave their families and not only to fight for their own lives, but to fight for ours. Some of the veterans have lost their lives fighting for us. People don't know how blessed they are to have people fighting for them. Some people may think it is a joke when it's actually not. Because someone they don't even know is fighting for them. Some people may not take it seriously, but it is not someone in their family fighting for them, but they should be thankful.
Next we have Alyssa Dunn.
When I think about freedom, I think about the men and women who served in the military and have shed blood, and some even paid for our freedom with their lives. Freedom is having the right to be able to do things we enjoy on a daily basis, to have the freedom of religion without fear of being harmed, and the right to protect ourselves. If our veterans If there comes a time to do so, but the last one I will talk about is our right to remember our veterans on Veterans Day, to honor our brave veterans who served our country. Not only do we honor them on this day, but every day we thank them for protecting our country that we live in, and also, when necessary, fight for all the freedom we treasure. so much.
We have Allie Murphy.
Have you ever thought of other countries and how they don't have freedom like we do? As an American, you have the right to pick what school or college you want to go to, where you want to live, or even vote on who you want your president to be. You can also get the job you want or play any sport you want. There are people trying to live here because of our freedom. Did you know that there are people who try to take that freedom away? There are veterans who protect us from them. They are willing to risk their lives for us, so why don't we thank them for that? Do you know how important that is? We just need to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you, veterans, for fighting for us.
Before we begin this song, I know I have most of our veterans seated here on the floor today, but if you can and are able and you are a veteran, would you please stand at this time? Amount of thanks that we could ever give you to truly say thank you for what you've done. But just know, in this little town of Myrtle, you have our support.
On the 11th hour of the 11th day, the 11th month of 1918, a ceasefire or armistice was signed, bringing an end to World War I. The following year, the United States observed Armistice Day to honor those who had fought in the Great War. In the aftermath of World War II and the Korean War, President Dwight Eisenhower changed the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day, a holiday dedicated to the American veterans of all wars. Eisenhower wrote, "On this day, let us solemnly remember the sacrifices of all of those who fought valiantly on the seas, in the air, and on foreign shores to preserve our heritage and our freedom." It is with that spirit that we welcome you, our veterans, our active duty personnel, our first responders, and honored guests to East Union Attendance Center for our annual Veterans Day program. We are truly, truly honored you're here.
Let's pray. Dear God, we come to you today, Lord. We're so thankful that you brought us here, God. Lord, everything that you do for us, God. Today we lift up our veterans, God. Lord, I thank you for the sacrifices that they made, God. Lord, I thank you for everything that you do for us, God. Lord, I thank you that they chose up to give up their freedoms, God. Lord, so that we might be free, God. And I thank you most of all that you did the same thing, God. You laid down your life so we have eternal life, God. Lord, I thank you.
Call guard. Halt. Ready. Haste. Breathe in. Colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so
Attention, salute.
Forward, arc. Ready, haste. Forward, arc.
Detail to hut. Carry. March. Forward. Arch. Detail. Halt. Ready. Haste. Ready. Step.
The flag folding ceremony represents the same religious principles in which this country was originally founded. The area of the flag, representing honor, is canton blue containing the stars, which represent the states where our veterans served in uniform. The canton of blue dresses from left to right and is only inverted when laid on the pall of a casket of a veteran who has served our country in uniform. In the armed forces of the United States at the ceremony of retreat, the flag is lowered, folded into a triangle, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's fallen. The next morning, it is brought out at the ceremony of reveille, and it is run aloft as a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. The first fold of our flag is the representation of life. It represents our country, our way of life, and unity as a nation. The second fold reminds us that our flag floats majestically in silence above the host that executes these choices, whether in peace or in war. And though silent, it speaks to us. It tells us of the men and women who went before us and of the records they wrote upon it. It serves as a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans who departed our ranks and gave a portion of their lives for the defense of our nation and to obtain peace throughout the world. It is recognition of their sacrifice that we raise the flag solemnly once again, salutes it reverently as never before. Live for it, die for it. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature, for as American citizens, trusting in God, it is Him we turn to in times of war, for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country, in dealing with other countries, may not always be right, but she is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is for where our hearts lie, as in the Pledge of Allegiance. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country, our flag, against all of our enemies within or without our borders. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, so that we might see the light of day, and to honor the mothers for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it is through their faith, love, and loyalty that the character of men and women who made this country great has been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to the Father, for He too has given His sons and daughters for the defense of our great nation. The 11th fold, in the eyes of a Hebrew citizen, represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold, in the eyes of a Christian citizen, represents an emblem of eternity, and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The tuck is the last fold of the flag that reminds us of the principles for which our flag stands and of the dedication to the spirit of liberty and the spirit on which this country was built. We are reminded of this great symbol of freedom, our flag, and how it represents freedom, democracy, and government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Ready, step. Ready, haste. Present, arms.
When the flag is completely folded, the stars are the uppermost, reminding us of our national motto, "In God We Trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades, shipmates, and airmen in the armed forces, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms which we enjoy today. Order. March. Ready. Haste. Ready. Step. Ready. Haste. Forward. Arch.
to someone who sees like a tell. We can say thank you. Oh, we can say thank you, thank you. We know God blesses you for all you did and do. We sing your light shine through, and we are all blessed too. You are our hero. What do you say to a hero? To someone who's always there? What can you say to a hero? To someone who gives life his color? We can say thank you. Oh, we can say thank you, thank you. We know God blesses you for all you did and do. We sing your light shine through, and we are all blessed too. You are our hero. You are our hero. You are our hero. Thank you. Please stand when you hear the bench of service. Army. It's high, high, more than we can imagine by protecting our way of life and freedom. This isn't just the big things like keeping us safe from terrorists and invasions from other countries, but the little things that go along with the bigger ones. For example, being able to get an education. Unfortunately, not many of us, especially young people, truly grasp what veterans have done for us. This is a true story about what one teacher did to instruct our students about the true meaning of freedom.
In September of 2005, a social studies school teacher from Arkansas did something to not be forgotten. On the first day of school, with permission from the administrator, she took all of the desks out of the classroom. Here is the full story.
Good morning, students. I'm Miss Harper.
Where's our desk?
You can't have your desk until you tell me how you earned them.
What?
You can't have your desk until you tell me how you earned them. Well, maybe it's our grades? No. Maybe it's our behavior? No, it's not even your behavior. Is it our test scores? No, it's not your test scores.
And so they came and went. The first period, still no desks in the classroom. Second period, same thing. Third period, you guessed it. No one could answer the question. By early afternoon, television news crews had gathered outside the class to find out about this crazy teacher who had taken all of the desks out of the classroom.
Throughout the day, no one has really understood how you earn the desk that you sit every day. So I'm going to tell you.
She went over to the door, and when she opened it, 27 U.S. veterans wearing the uniforms came in, each holding a square desk. The soldiers placed the school desk in a row and stood beside the desk. By the time they finished placing the desk, those kids learned, perhaps for the first time in their lives, how they earned those desks.
You don't have to earn those desks. These soldiers did for you. They fought to protect our freedom. They put them out here, but it's up to you to sit here responsibly to learn, to be good students, and to be good citizens. They paid a price. Never forget it.
Mr. Clay Foster is a hands-on, results-oriented professional with over 26 years in the same company, having served in essentially every management and leadership role, and eventually becoming CEO of the company. He also has more than 20 years of military experience, including the combat tour in Iraq. He also completed the Mississippi Alternative Path to Quality Teachers program for the State of Mississippi. Mr. Foster served in the Army National Guard as a platoon leader, company commander, battalion, brigade Army liaison leader, team leader in 1985 to 2007. He was a systems engineer in Southfield, Michigan from 1990 to 1992, and he served in the U.S. Army in Iraq from 2003 to 2005. Mr. Foster is a graduate of Michigan in 1985. He went to Northeast and got an associate's in pre-engineering. He went to University of Mississippi.
Thanks very much for inviting me here today. It feels like coming home, and I need to come home more often to East Union to be able to celebrate today in particular with you on Veterans Day. I've done a lot of things in my lifetime, but I've had no greater privilege than to serve in the finest military that the world has ever known. They are the most resilient and most courageous force that I've seen in my 22 years of service and my 53 years of life. And I can assure you that that only will get better as the years go by. And today on Veterans Day, there's no place that I'd rather be than right here with you, particularly with the veterans that were recognized earlier in the audience, representing the various branches of service. Some young and some, like myself, not quite so young anymore. It really is great to see the veterans here today, and I'm honored by your presence. And on Veterans Day, as it's been mentioned already, we honor every man and woman who's ever worn the uniform of our great nation. Those who have selflessly secured America's promise throughout our history. That same history teaches us that freedom and security doesn't just happen. It demands effort, it demands sacrifice and courage, and it demands commitment. It requires generations of men and women willing to go to distant lands if need be to defend our freedom and the many privileges that we enjoy as the greatest nation on earth, and to defend countries that they never knew and a people who they've never met. And today we salute the service of all veterans, and we keep in our thoughts and prayers the fallen, the missing, and those who right now are serving in harm's way wherever they may be. When your principal, Mr. Bruce, asked me to speak today, he asked that the focus be on service. And I think that's certainly rightfully so on a day like today. So let's think about service for just a few minutes. And in particular, let's think about selfless service and what that means and why it's important. A selfless person is one who's more concerned about the happiness and the well-being of another person than about his or her own convenience or his or her own comfort. One who is willing to serve another when it's neither sought for nor appreciated sometimes even, or one who is willing to serve even for those they may not like. A selfless person displays a willingness to sacrifice, a willingness to remove his or her own mind, from their own mind and heart, their personal wants and needs and their feelings. Instead of reaching for and always requiring praise for what they do, the selfless person doesn't seek that. They enjoy seeing other people being recognized for what they're doing. And unless we lose ourselves in service to others, there's little purpose to our own lives. Those who live only for themselves eventually are going to shrivel up and figuratively lose their lives, while those who lose themselves in service to others are going to grow and flourish and in effect save their life. And the best way that you can show love many times is through service to others. And I'm going to talk for just a minute about selfless service as it pertains to the military, but let me be clear that selfless service is not something that is exclusive to those that serve in the military. In fact, the greatest example that we have of selfless service is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And just imagine what we would be like without what He did for us in the selfless act that He gave. And I would also encourage you students. Sometimes we forget the selfless service that the teachers that are here providing you a great education, the selfless service that they give. And I would encourage you to be more thoughtful of that and recognize it. I recall when I was in your place, I didn't always demonstrate that kind of thanks and appreciation that they deserve, but I assure you that they are giving you selfless service every day when they show up to provide an education and to teach you things that you won't find in a textbook, like integrity and honesty and cooperation and dedication and discipline. That list could go on and on. But let's think about selfless service as it pertains to the military in particular. First of all, this is Veterans Day. What is a veteran? You can find a lot of definitions about what a veteran is, but I like to simplify that and say that a veteran is someone who had the courage to walk into a recruiter's office or to accept that draft notice that may have been received in some cases and sign their life away to the service of their country. The reasons why a person joins the military are many. They're not always the same for us. But the common thread that runs through all the reasons that anyone would join the military is the sheer guts that it takes to sign that blank check over to our government for the amount of, up to and including the most valuable thing that person has, their very life. There's no possible way to explain, for me to explain, or for anyone to explain to you what combat is like for someone who has never experienced it and never had their life directly threatened by another human being. Those who've been there can tell you that both the best and the worst of humanity is seen in war. And as I think about the idea of service, I'm reminded of a letter one of my soldiers wrote to his parents, that his parents thankfully shared with me. This was a very private thing, but they were willing to share it with me, and so I want to share with you a part of it, that their 19-year-old son wrote back to them while he was in service in Iraq. And it went something like this. It said, "Dear Mom and Dad, I will tell you this, I am changed forever. In a way, you could consider it a rebirth. My life flashed before my eyes many times over here. It never occurred to me how blind I was. We take so much for granted. My dearest, beloved family, don't waste a single second. We have been blessed to be raised in ways that are true and just. We have more things than some of these Iraqi children could possibly imagine. And I was ready to give it all over here to preserve that if need be." These are the words of a 19-year-old son to his parents, speaking about what service to his country means, now that he understands more clearly what we have in this great nation in which we live in the United States compared to the rest of the world. This 19-year-old understood clearly what his commitment to serve meant, and that was the possibility of giving it all if need be. These are the stakes. Yet there are people willing to go do it, and if asked, they'd go do it again in an instant. They've experienced the most challenging situations beyond imagination, and through it all they cared for and they loved each other in a way that literally makes them closer while they're in that environment than they sometimes are with their own family. And they laid it all out for one another in their most vulnerable moments, living and loving and sometimes even crying, and in some cases even dying together. Millions of Americans that you don't know and never will have agreed to risk going through this for you, and for me, and for some of those who are here today. And many of them come back home in a flag-covered box, and some never come back at all. So what kind of person, I want you to think about for just a second, what kind of person can love you so much that they would die for you without ever having met you? Who can love their country so much that they would die for her and the principles that she stands for? Who can take those risks and not expect any thanks in return, knowing that the thanks is, ironically, and having been one of the few to sign on the line and raise their right hand? And I'll answer that question for you. Veterans. I'm going to ask the veterans of all services once again to stand, and I encourage you to thank them.
We moved here in 2016 following the grandkids, and this is one of our favorite stores. Every time you come in, they've got some things that are new, and today's a wonderful opportunity with the beautiful weather out there and people having festive things, and the eats in the back are fantastic. So hope you get a chance to come and be here yourself.
My name is Vern Pfeiffer. Couldn't ask for about a day. It's been so nice down here. I've enjoyed the refreshments in different places here, and I'm enjoying the day. It's a nice day.
Y'all are doing well in that.
You got to tell your name.
What's
And what do you want for Christmas?
microwave and Angela's.
And what else?
A bike.
A bike.
Did you enjoy today?
Yeah.
Well, good.
Christmas I want slime and toys.
Did you have a good time out here today? You have any brothers and sisters?
I have a sister.
What do you want Santa Claus to bring you?
I want a computer.
Computer. And what's your name?
Anna.
Anna Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is this mom or sister?
My mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hi.
What do you want Santa to bring you?
Oh, Santa can just bring me a bunch of money and I'll be happy.
Bunch of money. And what's your name?
I'm Angela.
Angela. Y'all have a good time out here today?
Yes, ma'am. We have.
Excuse us.